The key to saving is knowing the difference between strategic and non-strategic cost. Here's how to avoid non-strategic expenses. Start saving today.
It's a matter of time, and something bad's gonna happen to you. It's the statistics show it's gonna happen. Right? You're gonna get robbed, you're gonna get raped, you're gonna get beaten, and God forbid, you might end up dead.
I have aspirations to do other things. I like to think about what my life would have been like.
I got robbed. The dude held a knife to my neck and pretty much raped me and took my money afterwards.
The girls that I had doing this did it before they ever met me, so they was gonna do it for somebody, and why not me?
Tonight, a special look at a global problem that is also in many of our neighborhoods. It's called human trafficking, or modern-day slavery. The FBI calls it the fastest-growing global criminal activity and the third largest behind drugs and weapons. Based on calls for help, our state is a center for this activity.
I'm in school. I have 2 kids. I can't do this. I have a daughter, and I wouldn't want my daughter to do it. It's just right now something I'm doing so I could get a little bit of money and go home.
I have been robbed. I have been raped before.
Human trafficking is lucrative. The Maryland Rescue and Restore Coalition says a trafficker can make $200,000 a year from one victim. Experts define the crime as someone being forced into commercial sex through fraud, coercion, or physical force.
She's being trafficked in some form. She might not be the kind that's being locked in there and took all her clothes, and keeping her in a room and making the dates for her. But she's at a level of it.
They got family, they can go visit their family, then come back and make money when they want to make money regardless of whether or not. I'm not gonna hold nobody back.
The average starting age for prostitution is now 13, according to a New York-based rescue organization. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children says at least 100,000 American children are exploited through human trafficking every year.
I am a human trafficking survivor. I started going towards the door. He asked me where the F was I going. And I looked at him and I said, why? And he said, you're not going nowhere. So when I tried to go towards the door, he then hit me in the face with the bottom of a gun. I have a mark on my face to this day.
The National Human Trafficking Resource Center operates a hotline dedicated to helping victims. Between 2008 and 2012, the center saw a 259% increase in calls and documented nearly 10,000 potential cases of trafficking. Similarly, the FBI's pending human trafficking cases increased 175% between 2009 and 2012. In a moment, we will take you on a police ride-along as undercover officers search for underage victims. And later, our experts in the studio will offer advice for those in trouble and strategies for unlocking these invisible fences. First, the powerful story of Monica, a young woman who escaped her captor and has turned around her life. In her own words, here's what happened.
I'm the youngest. I come from a 2-parent home. My mom and my dad is actually still together. I have my high school diploma. I did have a child at 16 years old.
Monica Sutton admits she doesn't fit the profile of a drug-addicted prostitute, but she says that's what she was after making some poor choices as a teenager in Philadelphia.
I picked up marijuana at age of 15 in high school and started hanging out with the wrong crowd. And from there, I guess I could say my drug of choice exceeded. June 25th, 2009, I was actually a bartender and 3 people got shot and my friend died in my arms, and my life changed dramatically at that point. I again picked up PCP. A few years, I'm going to say 2 years later, I was no longer able to hide my addiction. My addiction was running my life so much that my parents cut me off and they took my son from me. So now at this point, I am homeless, I have no family, I have no friends, and I am walking around hallucinating with psychosis due to the effects of what PCP, long-term use, can have on someone. A male had came up to me. It was pouring down rain, and he asked me why was I standing outside, and I told him because I didn't have anywhere to go. And he told me that I can come to his house and I can be able to stay there. He has a room for me to stay in. He'll feed me. I'll be able to take a shower. So being outside for about a week straight, and now it's pouring down rain, and that sounded awesome. So I took him up on that offer, and I went to his house. And for like the first, I'm gonna say 2 to 3 weeks, I wasn't obligated to do anything. I was able to rest, I was able to eat. He was bringing the drugs that I was still using. And then I actually wanted to go outside one day. I just wanted to go out. I've been in the house and I wanna go outside now. So I started going towards the door. He asked me where the F was I going. And I looked at him and I said, why? And he said, you're not going nowhere. And I just gave him, this look, because I had no idea. I'm like, what do you mean? So he said, you're about to go back there and take care of some business anyway. I am from the street, so I kind of already knew. And I'm like, is somebody waiting for me? Oh, no, I don't get down like that. So when I tried to go towards the door, he then hit me in the face with the bottom of a gun. I have a mark on my face to this day because of it. That was the beginning. That was the beginning. Yeah. So after that, I was constantly working out of the house, sometimes dating 15 to 20 guys a day. If enough guys wasn't coming to the house, I would have to stand somewhere on Kensington and Sargent. And I will be standing on a corner and my pimp will be standing a block away but able to see me. Johns will pull up, I will hop in the car, we will go down the block, we will do our business, and then he will drop me back off on Kensington and Sargent. I never saw a penny of it. If my quota was $300 and I came in with $299, that was a problem. 9 times out of 10, I got beaten. I have several bruises on my body. I have several burn marks from cigarettes on my body. Yeah. Eventually, at one point, you're trying to see as many people as you can. Because no matter what, you just want to get your quota, because at the end of the day, you don't want him really saying nothing to you. You just want to go in your own little space, and you just want to stay alive one more night.
For Monica, freedom came when she got on a bus to Baltimore, where she found help from the Safe House of Hope. For others, freedom starts with a police raid. Our Nancy Yamato was allowed to accompany undercover state troopers. The young women they found agreed to tell Nancy their stories.
It's a matter of time, and something bad's going to happen to you. It's the statistics show it's going to happen. Right? You're going to get robbed, you're going to get raped, you're going to get beaten. And God forbid, you might end up dead.
Corporal Chris Hyde with Maryland State Police hopes his warning will serve as a reality check for 2 suspected prostitutes he encounters in an Anne Arundel County motel.
We're going to photograph you before we leave here. We're going to photograph your tattoos. And we do that and not to scare you, but we do that for identification purposes.
ID, in case the next time he sees them, they're not alive. One of the girls who can barely sit up says she's strung out on heroin. The other tells us,
I've been robbed, I have been raped before.
She's 23 and started selling her body a 1.5 years ago after she was kicked out of her parents' house and was desperate for money. How much do you usually charge?
It varies between, I guess, 40 and 200.
And it involves sex acts?
Sometimes just company. It's all about your time.
She says she got into the business on her own and can get out when she wants. So you don't have a pimp or someone who's forcing you to do this?
No, I've never had one.
So you keep your own money?
Yeah.
Police aren't so sure. Outside, they find a man who they believe might be the girl's pimp. He admits he has girls working for him.
The girls that I had doing this did it before they ever met me, so they was done do it for somebody, and you feel me? Why not me?
Can I ask, like, how do you control them, so to speak? I mean, what if they decide this isn't for them and they want to move on?
That's on them. I don't have no hold on none of them. If they can walk and leave whenever they want.
Do you consider yourself a pimp?
No.
What do you consider yourself?
A hustler.
A hustler?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
The difference is the pimp hit that woman, and you feel me? I make it so it's on their time and they can have control over their own space.
Investigators in Maryland's Child Recovery Unit, which includes state police and the FBI, have heard it all. Their main goal is searching for underage girls who are being trafficked. Their day begins by trolling the internet, looking at postings on sites advertising escort services.
This is just posted since this morning, Wednesday, and you've got this many ads.
It doesn't take long before he sees red flags.
She kind of looks uncomfortable in the way that she's posing.
In some cases, the giveaway is fake photos.
They look real professional. That's not the girl you're going to see when you go to meet this girl.
Okay.
So that might be something that we take a look at.
The next step?
I got one in Lower I'm going to call.
Is a phone call to make a date with one of the girls.
I was calling to see if you're available today. Do you do half hours or hours?
Within the hour, he and his team are at a hotel near Arundel Mills Mall, where the suspected prostitute has booked a room for the night. But this isn't your ordinary bust. If she isn't underage, there will be no arrest. Just questions, photos of identifying tattoos, and an offer to help get her out of a dangerous lifestyle.
Since I've been down here, I got robbed. A dude held a knife to my neck and pretty much raped me and took my money afterwards.
Even so, this woman sees an opportunity to make quick money. Can I ask, how much do you charge?
For an hour, I charge $250. A half hour is $150, and it's just fast money. That's what a lot of females look at it like, it's fast money.
Each call promises more money and uncertainty about who will show up at the door.
I was kind of shook when I answered the door and he told me that it was the FBI. I was nervous.
Do you see a way out of this? I mean, how long
this is not a career for me because I am in school. I stay in Ohio. I don't stay down here. I'm in school. I have 2 kids.
Outside. She tells you it's for her kids, and she tells you this, that, and the other, and she's just going to do it till Monday.
Maryland State Police Sergeant Deborah Flory believes she is a victim of human trafficking.
Well, we haven't identified the guy who's doing it yet, but you know he's around because she didn't have any money.
If she does call you, what help can you really offer?
Oh, we have lots. We have a directory now of all nonprofits, so we can reach out anyway. Like she said, we could get her on a bus right now to Ohio if she really wanted to go home.
At the next so-called date at another hotel, they offer assistance and meet resistance once again.
She gave us a couple wrong names. We run her, and we finally figured out who she was. She was real all over the place. She's might have a drug issue, might not. Maybe she's just emotionally unstable. When you start talking to her about things like her pimp, she's like, I don't have a pimp, I have a boyfriend.
It's lies like that that make it difficult to press charges against the people who are trafficking the women.
We offered her help, get her out of the game, take her away there tonight. And she just wouldn't do it. We can't really do much for adults. We can't force them.
They move on.
Building 3.
To another hotel where those 2 women we met earlier show their IDs, proving they're not underage or wanting anyone's help.
I think I'm okay. I think I'll be okay. I'll just have to figure out what to do next. But
I mean, do you want to continue doing this, or do you want to do something else?
no, I have aspirations to do other things. So,
Such as?
get a job.
Do you wish you had never gotten into this, or?
Yeah. I like to think about what my life would have been like. But
It is 9:40, 5.5 hours later. The officers have handed out this information and help card to 3 of the prostitutes they met, and none of them accepted their offers of help. but they still don't consider this an unsuccessful night.
I think the first girl that we talked to, I think she might be a little bit more inclined to seek out some assistance. In my eyes, if we say we get one girl to get help, then I think we've made a difference. There are programs out there, but like I explained to the girls, they're not going to just give you the help. You got to want the help, and you got to work for the help. You got to. It's a hand-in-hand partnership, and if you don't want it, it's not going to work out.
And joining us now in the studio are Mary David, a human trafficking specialist who has served as deputy chair for the Maryland Human Trafficking Task Force, Amanda Rodriguez, manager of domestic violence and human trafficking policy at the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention, and Corporal Chris Hyde of the Maryland State Police, who you just saw in Nancy's report. We'll also have the National Human Trafficking Resource Center hotline on our screen during this segment. We've just seen some powerful and sad individuals. You've all dealt with people like this. Mary, what's the impact on you? What do you feel when you get involved with this?
It's heartbreaking because when someone says that they don't need help, that they don't have a boyfriend, that they're not being forced into it, oftentimes that's not the truth. They are just so brainwashed, they're so broken and devoid of hope that they don't even see that there are other options out there for them.
Amanda, are these stories representative, what we've heard?
I think so. I mean, it depends. Trafficking is so diverse in Maryland. We have so many different facets that kind of feed into human trafficking. But for our domestic victims, the stories are often very similar to the story that you heard about Monica. I mean, you kind of live in a place where you don't really realize this is happening, and then you're swept into it before you even can stop the wave. And luckily, there are people out there that are offering help.
When you say domestic victims, as opposed to international?
We have a lot of foreign national trafficking in Maryland. We have populations of people that are extremely vulnerable to that are from other countries that are here. We see them in places like massage parlors and labor trafficking and brothels. And we also have the out-call business, which is similar to domestic trafficking. It's, in-calls or out-calls, which is how police get involved through Backpage.com, doing investigations.
Help us understand the term trafficking a little bit, because I had always envisioned that maybe the international side, that it was somebody who was forcibly abducted, transported across state lines or international lines, and it's more complicated than that.
It is. It's not really the international at all. It's more of the anybody that's taking things from you by use or by threats or force, fraud, or coercion. And the human trafficking, like Ms. Rodriguez said, in Maryland there's a little bit of that of the international stuff, but the majority of what we see is girls being posted on Backpage or other various sites that they're using to lure men to come and have sex with them in exchange for money.
How much of the prostitution business would be classified as trafficking?
In our estimation, and you saw in the piece, the majority of the girls are not honest with us. But I would say probably 8 out of 10 that they're working for someone, that they have a pimp that they use. Whether we can identify him or not is another story. We have girls that are working that might be in the BWI area of Baltimore, and their pimp might be in California. And we can see that they're transmitting money to and from, through Visa cards or these services that transfer money. So I would say in our experience with the Maryland State Police, since we've been doing these operations since 2011, I would say probably 8 out of 10 of them are working for someone.
And the line between trafficking and prostitution is very gray, because even if someone is initially forced into the position of being trafficked and then goes on to pursue this on their own, oftentimes there's a huge gap that they've experienced in terms of their social norms, in terms of education, in terms of job opportunities. And so getting back to a place where they can have a normal life and stability is just very difficult.
So how do you approach it from a policing side, from a crime prevention side? What can we do to, there's a prosecution aspect, but there's also the prevention side. How do we prevent it?
I think it's it's dual faceted. So we have a supply and we have a demand. It's an economic question. So we have to look on our supply side at vulnerabilities. What is it that's making these victims easily exploitable, and how do we fix that? Through education, through job opportunities.
I mean, it's not from what we heard, drugs played a role in a lot of these cases.
Well, in drugs, there's two sides of drugs and trafficking. So there are those that are addicted to drugs at the onset, and the traffickers use that to exploit them. So that's their vulnerability. Or they're dabbling in drugs, maybe they're young and they're smoking marijuana, and then the trafficker is able to start lacing that with something else and start to heighten their addiction, and then he's using that. So it's dual faceted. And there's a whole other subset of, there are victims that the only way for them to escape the trauma that they're going through is through drugs, and so they start self-medicating. I mean, in any of those instances, you have victims that are extremely, extremely vulnerable to this type of activity because they need that fix, and the only way to get it is through their trafficker.
So that's one pathway
Right.
is drugs, and in terms of preventing and getting to people who are susceptible, what can be done?
When we go out on our operations that we do, we tell the girls right up front, and we're not here to arrest you.
Right.
And if they have a warrant, we do run them. If they have a warrant, there's certain things that we cannot control. But I think part of that is breaking down that wall that they have with the police, that we are there to help them. Because I think a lot of them are scared to say, hey, I'm working for this guy. And a lot of times the girls don't even realize that they are working for. We've had girls before that say, you don't understand. I got a boyfriend. He lets me get my nails done. I get my hair done. What's his job? And they're like, what do you mean? I said, tell me where he's getting money from. How is he paying? And they don't even realize what they're doing, that they're paying this man to offer them protection, when in reality all that man's doing is protecting his money. When we're in there, I said, where is he right now? He's not here. We're here, but he's not here. He's supposed to be protecting you. I could be somebody in here beating you up right now, and you have no idea where your boyfriend is. And I think that's the biggest part, is breaking down the walls. And a lot of times, we'll meet a girl 2 or 3 times, and we just had one 2 weeks ago. Our 3rd time, we finally got her to agree, like, this is enough, enough's enough. This is the 3rd time, he hasn't been here for you. And at the same time, we're not going to sit there and force these girls into making statements against their pimp or their trafficker, because we know that's not going to be good for them. So it takes time.
So the idea is that certainly prostitution's illegal, but not all that aggressively prosecuted. But the pimp could be prosecuted, particularly if the money is moving across state lines.
Absolutely.
But it sounds like your top objective in these cases is rescuing the victim.
Correct. Our main focus of the Child Recovery Unit is, and our task force is, identifying juvenile victims first.
How often do you see juveniles?
We get, it's hard to tell, but we do probably 2 or 3 a month that we end up coming into contact with.
Okay.
I don't have the stats here in front of me,
but you do apprehend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In that case, we build a case, and we still try to make it as, as the word I'm looking for, trying to help her out a little bit. She doesn't have to really testify. We try and get as much evidence as we can, so that we don't have to put that child on the stand. And in most cases, and actually just about all of our cases, we've been successful in that. But
and then prosecution can be difficult here because the victim has to testify.
But the benefit of having Maryland, and we've completely shifted our focus since the task force started to a victim-centered approach, and we've had so many successes because of that. I mean, I was a prosecutor for 7 years, and I can tell you, being able to step in and having law enforcement officers trained to know that these are victims and treating them as victims and not stigmatizing them, not judging them at the onset, and then having them collect all of that forensic evidence is the only way to build a case. Because she, I think the statistic is like she goes back 8 times and she's going to run and she doesn't want to testify. She's terrified. And, we've set up relationships with her through law enforcement so that if she does have to testify, at least she knows that we're here for her, we're supporting her, I said this constantly as I was a prosecutor, is my #1 goal is to make sure that she is made whole. And whatever that means, it means. I want to put the bad guys away, but our victim-centered approach comes first. And if she's not ready to testify, she's not ready to testify, and we have to make the case another way.
Making somebody whole is a tough thing after what they've been through.
Sure.
The interview at the beginning of the program with Monica, the rest of her story is that I believe John gave her the money to get on the bus to Baltimore. But that's all she had. She got off the bus here with $3 in her pocket and to earn money went back to prostitution for a while, but ultimately found some help But that wasn't the end of the story either. I mean, there was a history of drugs and what she'd been through, and it's a long process coming back. How much help is available?
You know, there really needs to be a lot more assistance that's offered as far as a place to stay. Shelter is a huge obstacle, but at the same time, there are organizations that are building up in the area. Safe House of Hope is one that does a lot of great work, and there are a number of other organizations. Turnaround is also in Maryland, but throughout the U.S. that are really ramping up their victim services and their counseling and support services for victims.
The psychology of the recovery has to be an interesting thing. We have to just blot out over time what you've been through, and then perhaps have the ability to help other people.
Right. I mean, the estimated time that some psychologists say is 18 months of really aggressive therapy in terms of trying to help someone get their life back on track. But it's difficult because it's a situation where oftentimes they don't see themselves as victims, and they really associate with a lot of guilt and shame, and they don't have a support network around them to really help build them back up to a place where they can identify themselves as survivors.
So it sounds like, as a group, you feel that some progress has been made over the past couple of years. What do you need to make more of a difference here?
I mean, I think Mary said it. I think we absolutely need more services in the state. I think there are counties that are covered, but we have huge gaps, especially with our foreign national victims. We don't have any shelter care at all for them. And I think that we continue pushing forward, we continue to build our resources here in the state, and we continue to train our law enforcement to make sure that when they go in at the onset, you know, we're providing a victim-centered approach in the beginning, and that's the only way that we can make a difference. And putting the bad guys away for a really long time, too. That helps.
And well, you've prosecuted people. Do you tend to succeed?
I never lost a human trafficking case.
Okay.
I mean, I think that it's always, there are things that I wish that I had done better, and there are sentences that I wish had been stronger, but I think as a general rule, you know, if you're presenting a good case and you're giving the survivor some peace of mind at the end of the day, that's always the good thing. I mean, we certainly have had very, very successful prosecutions, both federally and stateside, for human trafficking.
Mary, I interrupted.
Oh, no, prevention really needs to be targeted as well here, because nothing is going to be as effective as keeping someone from ever being put in this situation, and also addressing the demand as well. That really has not been something that is easy to do, and there are challenges there, but at the same time, the more that we focus on really getting people to see this as exploitation and understand that people are really not there of their own free will, even if they are smiling, even if they seem okay in this situation, that there is another part of the puzzle.
Very good. Mary David and Amanda Rodriguez and Corporal Chris Hyde of the Maryland State Police, thank you all for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Remember, you can visit mpt.org for more information and call that National Human Trafficking Resource Center hotline if you know of anyone who may need help. Now, for all of us at MPT, I'm Jeff Salkin. Thanks for watching.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.
Wrapping up on Season 2 of Maryland